Hi guys, JT here, and today I'm bringing you some information on 10 games in Fanatical's Easter Bundle of April 2023. To help you answer the question, should you buy it? If you'd like to know more about game bundles, feel free to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel out. Anyway, let's get into this. And number 1 we have Osteoblasts, a turn-based RPG that is unique in the sense that it only has one controllable character. In the game, you play as a skeleton that battles against hordes of dogs, ghosts, and meditating elephants without knowing why. The story is quirky and simple at first, but it gets hazy and may leave you confused. However, the gameplay mechanics make up for this by using a resource called Marrow to dictate what actions you can take in battle. The game has 6 classes, and every class starts with basic actions that can be unlocked by equipping different gear such as weapons, tools, and charms that grant new abilities. Loot in the game is randomized, and every piece of equipment has a suffix to its name that slightly alters the stat boosts it grants. Passive skills that grant useful bonuses and an elemental system that makes enemies weak or resistant to different spells belonging to 4 different elements keep the battle system exciting. Osteoblast has a good amount of character customization options that allow you to experiment with different equipment and strategies. But the excitement tends to taper off around the midpoint of the game. Despite this, the dungeons and areas in the game are worth exploring, as they offer a slew of benefits, such as statues of old gods that grant permanent stat bonuses and different services, such as the chance to purchase passive abilities or set a checkpoint that acts as a respawn point should you lose a battle. The game has a Metroidvania-style structure that requires you to progress and slay bosses to unlock new areas. The game world features shortcuts between areas that makes backtracking a breeze, and item description contain useful information that helps you figure out where to go next. Overall, Osteoblasts offer a unique and engaging turn-based RPG experience that you won't find anywhere else. And number 2 we have Professor Lupo and His Horrible Pets, a puzzle adventure game. You play as an intern on a scientific space station whose role is to lure alien creatures, the titular pets, around the station. However, a barrage of missiles suddenly hits the station, and the vessel is boarded by a mysterious organization called Blue Ragnarok, leaving you with the goal of reaching the escape pods. The levels start out simple, but they become more complex as you must start luring the pets into specific positions while moving the intern and hitting switches as you go. The game is organized into 5 chapters, each adding new mechanics, such as working with another person aboard the ship, or exposing certain rooms to the vacuum of space. The game's puzzles are well designed, but some levels can be frustrating due to the intern's slow speed and occasional unresponsiveness. However, the game's short levels and pick up and play nature make it easy to come back to after a while. The creatures are well animated, and the short animated cutscenes that introduce new pets add personality to them. The music is nothing special, but it sets the mood of exploring a space station. While the story is predictable, it serves as an excuse for more levels. Overall, Professor Lupo and His Horrible Pets is a great game that will stump you with devilish puzzles and contains plenty of aha moments. While it has a slow start and a few frustrating levels, its dexterity, cleverness, and execution make up for it. Puzzle fans shouldn't skip out on this hidden gem. And number 3 we have Mindustry, a tower defense game where you gather resources, build up your industry, and defend against waves of attacking robots. There are 12 maps in total, broken down into 2 types: survival and destroy the enemy core. Each wave can bring in higher difficulty and the number of robots you have to fight off. You can unlock tech upgrades to increase your firepower, but this can remove the ease of mobility flying around the map. The game will also start tossing in different kinds of robots, from exploding ones to harder to take down ground troops and air units. You need layered defense in the area you have decided to build up armed fortifications around, and you also need to feed resources into those weapons. You might need to mine lead, coal, and sand, and mix them at different steps in the chain to produce the final resource you need, like glass. Building out different manufacturing chains themselves can take up a lot of room, and planning things out properly is critical. The power plant, if it has an interruption of coolant, could explode when you start getting into the higher tier stuff. The core, where you gather all your resources and spend build costs from, plays a few critical roles. If it is destroyed in either type of these maps, it's game over, and you get nothing out of it. Space can become rather a premium, and not planning things out properly can cause total chaos down the line. Overall, Mindustry is a fairly decent tower defense game, where you can put most of your efforts on the front line and not worry too much. It is challenging enough to keep players engaged, but not so much that it becomes overwhelming. And number 4 we have Tacoma, a space mystery. Have you ever wondered what happened to the crew on the space station Tacoma? In this game, you play as Amy Ferrier, tasked with recovering data relating to the crew's final hours. As you explore the abandoned station, you'll discover remnants of the crew's time in orbit, including personal logs and objects that give insight into their lives. The crew of Tacoma are like digital ghosts, appearing as AR footage that you can pause, rewind, and fast forward to observe their lives and movements. By exploring the station and piecing together their stories, you'll get to know the 6 crew members on a personal level, discovering their flaws, hang-ups, and personal lives. Tacoma is a short and meditative game that encourages empathy and exploration rather than action or puzzles. It's perfect for players who enjoy methodical exploration and are interested in uncovering the human stories behind the sci-fi setting. The game's stunning visuals and obsessively detailed environmental design make it an immersive experience, and its characters and objects feel well realized and truly human. So if you're ready to solve the mystery of what happened on the space station Tacoma, grab your controller or mouse and keyboard and get ready to dive into a world of digital ghosts and personal stories. And number 5 we have Ultimate Zombie Defense, a casual action twin-stick shooter game that looks like a scammy mobile game ad on YouTube. In the game, you have to defend yourself against hordes of zombies on 3 different maps: a bridge, a mall, and an evacuated city. You can choose from 4 different classes: Heavy, Medic, Specialist, and Engineer, each of their own skill tree that you can level up as you earn more experience points. You can purchase weapons and armor from the store and place defenses like walls, traps, and sentry turrets to protect yourself from the zombie attacks. The game features various bosses every 10 waves, each of their unique powers that you have to plan for in advance. The graphics are good, with the bosses standing out for their designs. The music is also good, with a sick guitar riff playing as you murder large amounts of hordes. However, there are only 3 maps to choose from, and the longevity of the game seems limited. Overall, Ultimate Zombie Defense is a fun game that doesn't take itself too seriously. It is reminiscent of the old Flash game Boxhead, where you can try different guns and strategies to beat your own high score. The game is best played with friends or online, as playing solo may not offer as much excitement. And number 6 we have Klocki, a puzzle game that offers you a minimalist gameplay experience without time pressures or gating. You are presented with a few tiles with broken lines atop of them, and interacting with them will move the tiles. Once 2 line segments are connected and completed, they will illuminate, and when all sections of the puzzles are illuminated, the image will zoom slightly to notify that the level is finished. Klocki has no tutorials, menus, or explanation on how to proceed, but with each new mechanic, you're given a simplified puzzle to teach you how to solve your way to success. Puzzle fans will enjoy Klocki because of its relaxed, play-at-your-own-pace experience that takes up as much time as you want to give to it. The diversity of mechanics in Klocki is impressive, and the subsequent combinations of previous mechanics make the puzzle more complex, showcasing the ingenuity of the design. Once you have learned how to do something, you'll enjoy some additional complications or limitations that will push your problem-solving skills further. However, Klocki has some drawbacks, including the lack of a menu system, which makes it difficult to know where you are in the game or to replay the best levels. Also, you can get stuck pretty easily because there are no hints. Nonetheless, Klocki is a great addition to the puzzle roster, for those who love learning to utilize combinations of unusual mechanics, or for those who enjoy complexity hidden within simplicity. And number 7 we have The Divine Invasion, an adventure science fiction game. In The Divine Invasion, you play as a headhunter, hired by mysterious bosses with bizarre and surreal goals. As you progress through the game, you'll realize that while technology may change, the human heart remains the same as it was 2,000 years ago. The game takes place in both sci-fi and fantasy locations, exploring the question of whether the dream world is truly unreal, and if it's more real than the neon streets and skyscrapers we see when we wake up. The Divine Invasion also invites you to join a social experiment in a world where traditional moral values try to keep up with technological progress. Synthetic life forms and artificial intelligence will challenge your moral compass, and you'll need to make choices that could change the balance of light and shadow. The game also features The Taste of Metal, a best-selling book of the future that you can collect chapter by chapter to discover the fate of romance literature in the cyberpunk age. As a futuristic knight, your gameplay features are informed by the game's setting. You'll need to rely on your composite sword and close combat skills, as most missions have firearms and explosive detectors. However, you can also use sneaky subterfuge if you prefer the guise of a hardcore ninja over that of a knight. The game also offers an equivalent of writing, perfect for technologically advanced races inside cyberpunk ruins. You can also visit the areas of an imaginary in-game fantasy MMORPG where your actions will be analyzed through the prism of philosophy. Talking about game within the game, ooh. And number 8 we have Instant Farmer, a puzzle game where you're presented with a small field of barren ground and stone and a limited number of water blocks. The goal is to reshuffle the blocks in a way that every block is adjacent to water, giving it instant life. The game has 50 levels, and as you progress, more special blocks are added. There are blocks that can form a channel to make the water flow further, lawn sprinkler blocks, and pipes to extend the sprinkler. The game has no tutorial, and each level has to be finished first before moving on to the next. The visuals are colorful, and the game is accompanied by relaxing background music. There's no time limit, no limit on resources to manage, and no statistics telling you the time you took to solve the puzzle. It's just you and a set of blocks before you. Instant Farmer offers puzzle fans a good challenge. It's a good game to pick up and play during a coffee break, even for someone who doesn't want to spend days stuck in one level. The game is satisfying to play, and the visuals are lush and colorful. Overall, Instant Farmer is a great game to pass the time and exercise your brain at the same time. And number 9 we have Hook, a minimalist puzzle game that can be enjoyed by anyone without the need for tutorials or complicated instructions. You're thrown into the game immediately, tasked with pressing buttons to reel in lines and complete levels. As the game progresses, the difficulty increases gradually, with more buttons, curved lines, and overlapping hooks to challenge you. However, frustration is rare, and the game is more like a game-like experience than a true challenge. Visually, Hook is simple and effective, featuring grey lines on a white background that make it easy for you to follow the paths of lines even when they overlap. The audio complements the visuals, featuring calming sounds and tunes that give the game an almost meditative feel. You interact with the game using only a mouse, clicking on buttons to activate them or altering the path of lines. Because of the intricate nature of later levels, you get 3 attempts before the level resets, which is more than fair. Overall, Hook is an excellent game for you if you want a cheap and simple puzzle experience that feels rewarding to complete but won't leave you stumped for too long. Puzzle veterans may find it too easy, but newcomers to the genre will appreciate a gentle difficulty curve. The lack of replay value and challenge may deter some players, but with 50 levels on offer, the game provides a satisfying experience. And number 10 we have Goosebumps, the game, a point-and-click adventure game that takes you back to the 90s. In the game, you play as an early teen who returns home to find that their house has been turned into a spooky haunted house. With your family nowhere to be found, your mobile phone is your only source of clues in the game, but it's quickly running out of battery. As you move around the world, your map grows bigger, and you encounter malicious monsters that have popped up in different parts of town. The goal is to find out what's happening and stop it. Goosebumps, the game, is a classic point-and-click adventure game that requires a lot of problem solving. You have to collect items and use them in creative ways to progress in the game. Although the game is not too difficult, you may need to use online walkthroughs to help you solve some puzzles. The game is fun and lighthearted, with a lot of humor and nods to the original books. It's not a game to be taken too seriously, but it's perfect if you want to indulge in a bit of nostalgia and relive your childhood memories. The game has everything you could want, including mystery, puzzles, and Halloween vibes. It's a refreshing game that's well worth trying out, especially if you're a fan of the Goosebumps book series. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle is pretty good for some puzzle and casual games. There's a good variety in there, and for 50 cents a game, it is a pretty good deal. Anyway, if you want to buy me a cup of coffee and support the channel, you can do that by clicking on the link in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.